Hey, did the Pirates get the number of that red truck that Steve through Pittsburgh this weekend? Hey, I tell you what, tonight on Sports Sunday, how the Redbirds' road trip against the Reds and Bucks may have turned their season around. The Cardinals shortstop continues to go nonstop with the bat. Tonight on Sports Sunday, we're going to take a closer look at this Rookie of the Year candidate with the help of two Hall of Fame shortstops, the Iron Man, Cal Ripken Jr., and, of course, the Wizard, Ozzie Smith, as they examine the rigors of the position and they break down Diaz's game as only they can.
But I think that as time goes on, and just given the time, I think that he will settle in. Certainly he's settled in offensively, and I think he'll settle in defensively once he develops a little bit more confidence.
There you go. Nice job.
And Isaac Bruce is back in St. Louis. Number 80 is giving back to the kids, and he's also bringing his greatest show teammates back to the city that no longer has NFL football. Tonight on Sports Sunday.
You know what? I'm committed to doing what I can to make sure that, we still have a place here in the city of St. Louis as long as I'm breathing.
This is Sports Sunday, brought to you by Offenberg Dealer Group.
And welcome into Sports Sunday, everybody. I'm Maurice Drummond. Hey, don't look now, but the Cardinals appear to have everything going their way. Outstanding pitching, power hitting, everything for except a Cubs losing streak. But the Redbirds, they lost no ground over the last 3 days. They just keep on winning. Talk about the Pirates. They had some issues, and that's Matt Holliday still swinging the hot stick. Top of the first, Holliday taking Jonathan Neese the other way. His 11th of the year. Cards taking a 1-0 lead. Later in the third, it's Holliday again. Another hit off of Neese. That's going to bring in the starter, Mike Leake. Cards with a 2-0 advantage, and still in the third. Redbirds up. Steven Piscotty is going to drive one. It's going to short hop the wall. Aledmys Diaz comes around. 3-0 Cards, and the Bucks would chip away with the St. Louis and David Freese trying to scratch out an infield hit. Peralta goes to second. John Jaso scores. Cuts the Cards lead to 4-1. Cards stirring things up in the sixth. Yadier Molina, the base hit the left. That's going to score Piscotty. Bad throw here by Starling Marte. It's going to get away from the catcher, Eric Kratz. That's going to allow Peralta to come in. 6-2 Cards taking advantage of some shaky defense. And then this guy, what a relief. Randall Grichuk unloads, and away it goes. Grichuk, the guy, has really been having some tough times out there. He needed that one. 8-3 was your final as the Redbirds sweep the Pirates. Cards moving to 7 games above 500. Cards now 9 games behind the Cubs. So the Cardinals offense simply pounds away on the Bucks for 22 runs in a 3-game sweep of Pittsburgh. Cards have found some traction after winning 7 of their last 8 games, and there's a couple reasons why this team's starting to get on a roll. Remember the big question mark at first base at the start of spring training. Would Matt Adams or Brandon Moss regain their power stroke, and which guy would outperform the other? Well, the answer is both guys have been crushing it. Adams is batting .322 in the season, and he's back to his big city ways. He's got 8 homers, 32 RBIs. And what about Brandon Moss? Remember last year he said he had the hip problem, said it sapped him of his strength in his lower legs. Well, it looks like he was right. Moss now with a team-high 14 home runs, and after a sluggish second half, he is now rolling. So both Moss and Adams combining for 22 homers for the Redbirds. And the Cardinals have their infield now stabilized with the return of Johnny Peralta. The shortstop, now turned third baseman, hit .368 in his 5-game return on that road trip from the disabled list with a home run and 6 ribbies through Cincinnati and Pittsburgh. Despite the great road trip, the Cards still gaining little ground on the Chicago Cubs. They took on the Braves, top of the fourth. Miguel Montero with a 3-run blast. 5-0 Cubbies on top. Then in the fifth, this guy has extreme power. Chris Bryant, a rocket off Eric Flaherty. Cubs rocking the Braves today. 8-2 was that final. Cards still trail the Cubs again by 9 games in that Central. The Cards have the day off tomorrow, but they're going to face the Astros on Tuesday. That was a hot shot. George Springer back to the mound where Matt Moore was able to snatch it. And then in the 7th, Matt Moore getting the strikeout. He was tough on those Stros today. 5-zip was the final as the Stros head to St. Louis this week. The Cardinals draft is now in the books. The Redbirds selecting 42 players, which included 17-year-old Puerto Rican shortstop Delvin Perez, a controversial pick. He was picked 23rd. Of course, Perez dropping in the draft after testing positive for a performance-enhancing drug. And of the Cards' 42 players selected, 19 were pitchers. So the Cards have a new infield, same faces, but different positions except for this guy. 25-year-old shortstop Aledmus Diaz. The rookie is staying put at short. The team recently tabbing Diaz as the Cardinals shortstop of the future. And this week, we got a chance to break down Diaz's game with the Wizard himself, Ozzie Smith, this week at his annual golf tournament for his REACH program, helping inner city kids. Got a visit from his Hall of Fame friends, Eddie Murray, the Oriole, and the Iron Man himself, Cal Ripken. And I got a chance to discuss Aledmus Diaz with the two of the greatest shortstops to ever play the game in the Wizard and the Iron Man.
This was called up. And he cranks one out to deep left field. This ball is gone!
From a third option fill-in to a Rookie of the Year candidate, Aledmus Diaz has put himself on the national map with a blistering start to his big league career. The 25-year-old hit .376 after his first 36 big league at-bats while flirting at the .500 mark for most of the first month of the season.
It's a lot of fun, it's a lot of fun with my teammates, it's everything here for me is new, so I try to enjoy the moment and just thinking every day come here and prepare myself for the game.
That is hammered into deep left center field. It is gone off the top of the wall.
So for offense has been Diaz's calling card. While his bat speed is lightning quick, Diaz has added more power to a Cardinals lineup that already leads the National League in runs scored.
Yeah, it's amazing. We have a lot of guys can hit a home run at any moment, so we have a pretty good team, and as we get 4 or 5 runs behind, and we know we can go back into the game and win the game.
Even though Diaz played some third base back in his native Cuba, while also playing both second and third in the Arizona Fall League, the Cards are allowing Diaz to grow at shortstop, which set into motion a shuffle in the Redbirds' infield. The first of those moves began with Colton Wong getting demoted to the minors, shortstop Johnny Peralta moving to third, and Matt Carpenter welcomed the change from third base over to second.
I'm excited. I like that position. I've always liked that position. I just like playing baseball and, moving around. It's something I take pride in, being able to play more than one position, and whether it's first, whether it's second, whatever I can do to help us become a better team, that's what I'm going to do.
While his offensive game has thrived, Diaz has struggled with the glove, especially earlier in the season. Diaz leads the majors with 13 errors. And while Diaz tries to expand his game as the Cards' shortstop of the future, the Cards' shortstop of the past, Hall of Famer Ozzie Smith, likes the progress that Diaz is making as the full-time shortstop.
I think we all knew that he was going to be a good offensive player. I think he's probably gotten there a lot quicker than people expected. Defensively, I think he has a ways to go to be that complete player that everybody believes that he can be. But the kid has great work habits, and if he continues to work hard and apply himself, there's no reason that he cannot become a much better defensive player and a more rounded player.
There goes Harris on a ground ball. Alisea at the second for one. The double play. What a double play by Ozzie Smith.
While the Wizard himself was the classic fielding shortstop at 5'10", Diaz at 6'1" and 195 pounds is closer physically to the model of the Iron Man, Orioles Hall of Famer Cal Ripken Jr. You were, I'm going to say, the first guy that really ushered in the big shortstops, and it was because of Earl.
Yeah, for sure. I was nearly 6'5", 6'4" and 3/4, and I played at 225 my whole career. And Earl Weaver saw me as an agile big guy, and he wanted to improve the offense temporarily, and that temporary move lasted 15 years. So I couldn't model my game after Ozzie. I mean, Ozzie can do things that all shortstops wish they could do, but at my size, you start figuring out how do you make all the same plays. Ozzie might use his legs more running around the ball. I might have a more direct path and use my arm strength. So it's been fun to watch the evolution of the position, where more big guys get a chance to be put in that position.
I don't know if it's fair to expect a guy that big to be able to play the way a prototypical shortstop would play, but his consistency at the position has been unparalleled, And then to play 2,632 games, that's crazy.
Diaz's idol was future Hall of Famer Derek Jeter, another big shortstop who followed Cal Ripken. Meanwhile, Diaz continues his development as the Cards' everyday shortstop on a team that's pushing for a 6th straight playoff appearance.
Did you get a chance to see him when you were down there?
I saw him in spring training, and here again, that's why I know that he works hard. He puts the time in, and I think right now we're probably missing the influence of Jose Oquendo. You really don't know sometimes until it's not there. But I think that as time goes on, if just given the time, I think that he will settle in. Certainly he's settled in offensively, and I think he'll settle in defensively once he develops a little bit more confidence. It's not easy, but it's about believing that you can. And I think right now, probably more mental than physical, because I think he has the physical attributes to be able to be a great shortstop.
Stanley Cup Finals tonight, and there he is, the big fella, Lord Stanley's Cup. The Penguins trying to close out the San Jose Sharks in Game 6, and Chris Letang breaking through and breaking up a 1-1 tie for the Pens, and the Penguins would not look back. They would score an empty net goal. 3-1 was the final, and the commissioner handing over the Stanley Cup over to the captain, Sidney Crosby, as he was also voted the Conn Smythe winner as the MVP throughout the playoffs. So for the Penguins, this is now their 4th Stanley Cup in team history. And still to come on Sports Sunday, we're going to check in with number 80, Isaac Bruce, as he talks about a phenomenal event at the Dome and what are his emotions as he looks back on a Rams departure from St. Louis. We'll talk it over with Isaac Bruce as Sports Sunday rolls on.